Welcome to a new episode of the podcast. Vox Agent is made by AI for business executives that work with AI. If you look across the enterprise landscape right now, we are seeing, an absolute explosion in AI capability. But all of that speed, that incredible innovation, it's hitting a wall.
A huge wall.
And it's not compute power and it's not a lack of talent, it's the plumbing, it's the data. Specifically, that high-quality, continuous data you need to actually fuel large language models.
That's right. That is the core problem identified in the sources we're looking at today. They call the current state of data prep, and I'm quoting here, ad hoc scripts and loosely specified workflows.
Which sounds messy.
It is messy. For any company trying to get to real-time intelligence, it means your biggest competitive advantage is basically being choked out by these rigid, unreliable data pipelines.
And that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive on DataFlow, because this isn't, just a small improvement on old tools. It's a completely different way of thinking. A unified LLM-driven framework for scalable, reliable, and semantically rich data preparation.
And our mission today is really a strategic one. If you're an executive trying to steer your company toward AI maturity, you have to understand data flow. It's what makes AI truly operational. It moves it out of the lab and into the real world as a competitive business function.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's unpack this by looking at the past. We all know the term ETL, extract, transform, load. But for our listeners, what's the core architectural problem with that model?
Well, the problem is rigidity. It's based on this very static view of the world. Traditional ETL is all about monolithic, periodic batch processing.
Batch processing, so like a big chunk of data all at once.
Exactly. Think of it like a big truckload of goods arriving at a warehouse once a day, or maybe once an hour if you're lucky. You process that entire chunk, and then you wait for the next one.
So if I'm, say, running a fraud detection system, I'm only catching fraud that happened up until that last batch. I'm always looking in the rearview mirror.
You're always looking backwards.
Exactly. That scheduled processing creates this inherent and frankly unacceptable latency for any real operational AI. Dynamic pricing, network intrusion, fraud.
The opportunity is gone.
The damage is already done. The entire batch-oriented design is the bottleneck.
And the business consequence of that design is, well, it's a kind of organizational tragedy, isn't it? We keep hearing these stats about how much time data professionals are just burning.
It's a massive drain on resources. We see it everywhere. Data professionals report spending up to 80% of their time on just basic data prep.
80%?
Yes, just cleaning, normalizing, moving data around. All that happens before they can even start the sophisticated analysis or the model training they were actually hired to do. That's a failure of the architecture, not the people.
Okay, so that paints a very clear picture of the pain point. So along comes DataFlow as the cure. It shifts the philosophy entirely, right? It treats data not as these static batches, but as a continuous, unbounded stream of events. That is the paradigm shift. Instead of waiting for the truckload to arrive, you're listening to a live feed, an endless river of data points flowing through your system.
And architecturally, you build this pipeline as a directed acyclic graph, a DAG.
Right, a DAG.
It sounds complex. Can you break that down for someone who's focused more on the business outcome?
Sure. Think of the DAG as a highly standardized assembly line. The raw data comes in at one end. Each station along the line, that's a node in the graph, is a modular, reusable transformation step.
Like cleaning the data or enriching it with other information.
Exactly. Cleaning, joining, enriching, you name it. And because it's a graph that only flows forward, never backward, you ensure that quality and consistency are built in at every single stage.
And that standardization, that's where the real business value starts to compound. It enables that write once, use many capability that the sources really highlight.
Precisely. You build that complex data cleaning logic just one time. And that single well-tested pipeline can then feed everything downstream. An executive dashboard, a new LLM training job, a real-time risk model, all of it.
So you stop reinventing the wheel in every department.
You stop reinventing the wheel, and critically, you ensure everyone is operating from the exact same version of the truth. That's huge.
Consistency, quality, reduced overhead, that's all good governance. But let's talk about speed, because latency is, it's becoming the ultimate competitive differentiator.
It absolutely is. We're talking about a leap from data freshness measured in hours or even days with the old batch systems down to milliseconds or seconds. That's the difference between reacting to what happened and anticipating what's next.
So what's the mechanism for that speed? It's about how you scale, isn't it? Maybe you could give us an executive analogy for vertical versus horizontal scaling.
Of course.
Hmm.
So traditional batch systems, they scale vertically. Imagine your data warehouse is too slow. Vertical scaling means you throw out your current server and buy one gigantic, custom-built, hugely expensive machine to do the job faster.
The bigger box approach.
The bigger, more expensive box approach. It's hard to maintain and even more expensive to upgrade later.
And DataFlow is the alternative.
Right. DataFlow is built for horizontal scalability. Instead of buying that one massive machine, you buy, say, a cluster of 20 smaller, off-the-shelf servers, and you just distribute the workload across all of them.
And if you need more power,
You just add another 10 servers to the cluster.
Yeah.
You scale out, not up. It's far more cost-effective, much more resilient if one server fails, and it can elastically adapt to petabyte-scale data in the cloud.
okay, so if horizontal scalability is the philosophy, what are the actual engines making this happen? What's the tech?
We're primarily talking about distributed processing frameworks. The two big ones are Apache Spark and Apache Flink.
And they do different things.
They do, and it's an important distinction. Spark is kind of the industry standard for huge static data sets. Your classic large-scale ETL. It often uses something called microbatching, so it processes data in very small, very rapid chunks.
But it's still technically a batch, even if it's a tiny one.
Exactly. Whereas Flink is the true streaming champion. It was designed from the ground up for event-at-a-time processing. If you need that guaranteed ultra-low millisecond latency, Flink is the backbone that powers those truly operational AI systems.
What's fascinating to me here is how this all aligns data preparation with, modern software development. It treats these data pipelines like first-class software.
Yes, and that operational maturity is so critical for reducing risk. By supporting CI/CD continuous integration and continuous deployment, the actual transformation logic is versioned, it's tested rigorously, and it's deployed systematically, just like any other piece of mission-critical software.
This shift towards software engineering rigor,
Yep.
it really sets the stage for our next section, the specific impact DataFlow is having on large language models.
This is where it gets really interesting. It's the fusion of AI and data prep. The framework we're looking at provides this high-performance data preparation specifically tailored for LLMs.
In what areas?
In the areas where high-quality data is traditionally the hardest to get. We're talking about complex domains like text, mathematical reasoning, code generation, and even advanced agentic RAG.
Retrieval augmented generation.
Right. And the framework gives you nearly 200 reusable data operators. So your engineers aren't wasting time coding basic cleaning functions from scratch. They're immediately building complex, customized pipelines from these standardized, high-quality building blocks.
Okay, so let's break down the mechanism. How does the LLM itself factor into creating the pipeline? This is the DataFlow agent you mentioned, correct?
That's the key innovation here. The DataFlow agent is the AI that automates the most painful part of this whole process. Your engineer doesn't have to sit there and painstakingly code every single transformation step.
So what do they do instead?
They use natural language. They just tell the agent what they want the final data to look like. The agent then synthesizes the operators, verifies the steps, and automatically writes and executes the pipeline code.
So wait, if I'm an engineer, instead of spending 2 weeks writing Scala code to clean up math equations in my dataset, I just tell the agent, normalize all numerical expressions and remove broken latex formatting, and the LLM just does it.
Precisely. It's an LLM generating the complex plumbing code for other LLMs. It dramatically speeds up the entire data feedback loop for training, which of course leads to the most important question.
Does it actually work? Does all this automated, high-quality data lead to better models?
It has to, right? Otherwise, what's the point? And the results are very compelling. This approach consistently outperforms both the datasets curated by humans and other synthetic baselines. We're seeing model accuracy gains at up to plus 3% in complex tasks like text-to-SQL.
3% is a massive difference in the LLM space. That's a real competitive edge.
It is. And we're seeing similar 1 to 3 point gains on really tough math benchmarks. In a world where these marginal gains usually cost you exponentially more in compute power, achieving them through better data design is a huge ROI.
And we saw this impact outside of just model training, too, in real-time business metrics.
Absolutely. One of the sources details moving real-time financial feature engineering tasks onto a Flink-based DataFlow pipeline. The result was a 30% reduction in end-to-end latency
30% faster.
and a 40% increase in data throughput. That kind of speed allows for entirely new classes of proactive, instantaneous applications that were just impossible under the old batch regime.
Okay, the benefits are fantastic, the ROI is demonstrable, the speed is measurable, but you can't have a transformation of this size without some strategic hurdles. Let's talk about the complexity here.
That's the elephant in the room. I mean, let's be clear. Implementing distributed streaming systems is an order of magnitude harder than scheduling a simple batch job. You're managing continuous, unbounded data across potentially hundreds of servers.
And what's the one guarantee every executive needs to worry about in that kind of complex environment?
It's data integrity. It's consistency. The technical term is achieving exactly once processing semantics.
Which means?
It means making absolutely sure that every single event, every transaction, every click is processed once and only once, even if parts of your system fail and recover. It's how you ensure you never double bill a customer or miss a critical fraud alert. It's about fundamental financial and legal reliability.
So beyond that technical challenge, how does this level of complexity change the organization itself? Because this kind of shift often leads to calls for decentralization.
It does. The future operating model that's emerging favors decentralization, usually through the data mesh concept. And this is a really crucial strategic shift.
And that means moving data ownership. Where?
Away from a single centralized data engineering team and pushing it out to the domain-oriented teams. So marketing owns marketing data, finance owns financial data, and so on. They build their own data products.
But doesn't that just invite chaos? If every team is managing its own pipeline, how do you stop data silos from just popping up again? Or, even worse, having different definitions of what a customer is?
That is the critical tension. And the only answer is rigorous governance that is architected in from day one. In these distributed environments, tracking data lineage where the data came from, every transformation applied to it becomes incredibly difficult, but completely non-negotiable.
And that lineage isn't just for debugging, it's for regulatory compliance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things like GDPR and HIPAA.
Yeah.
You have to be able to prove what happened to the data.
Exactly. Lineage is your audit trail.
Yeah.
And to manage the sheer complexity of deploying all this, automation becomes your survival mechanism.
Automate through what?
Through infrastructure as code, or IAC. These pipelines don't just run on a server. They need complex compute clusters, networking, security rules. IAC lets you define and manage all of that complex environment programmatically.
So it's repeatable and consistent?
It ensures consistency, and it mitigates the massive risk of human error that this kind of complexity always introduces.
So we've really come full circle. DataFlow is the strategic foundation for AI and ML maturity. You're replacing those rigid, high-latency batch systems, the ones causing that 80% overhead, with resilient, real-time, composable pipelines.
And the strategic takeaway for you as a leader is this. The investment in DataFlow isn't just about faster infrastructure. It's an investment in unlocking proactive decision-making. It transforms your company from looking backward at what happened yesterday to being a real-time intelligence engine that can act on events as they happen.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If this new generation of LLM-driven DataFlow agents can now automatically generate these complex, tested data pipelines just from natural language, what does that mean for the skill sets and the strategic focus of our data engineering teams over the next, say, 2 years?
Will they be automating themselves into irrelevance? Or will they finally be freed up to focus on the highest value business problems we have?
Something to think about. Thank you for joining the podcast, and see you soon.